Your message is important to us. Please hold. Your message is important to us. Please hold. Your message is important to us. Please hold.
Looking for great value home insurance? Don't go online for an anonymous corporation who takes your money and abandons you. Choose High House, your local insurance company. High House Insurance don't pay to be on comparison websites, so your premiums are better value. For a free, no-obligation quote, call 606 552. High House Insurance. Local, reliable insurance. High Street, Selsey.
Hello and welcome once again to Selsey Internet Radio's podcast. My name's Keith Barnes. In the programme this week we'll have What's On, which is our weekly look at what's going on in and around the village for the coming week. And in the studio with me this week we will have Theresa White from the local Fybromyalgia group. We'll also have Danny and Julie Kelly, and they'll be talking to us about the Christmas lunch that's being laid on again this year for people that may otherwise have been alone at Christmas. And there are a couple of very nice recipes to tempt your taste buds. And mix it all together with some music and weather, and that's what we've got for this week's programme. So without further ado, it's on with the show. And we start with What's On, our weekly look at what's going on in and around the village for the coming week. Now on Monday the 26th at the Town Hall, the Cinema Club is showing Women in Gold, starring Helen Mirren, who once again gives a wonderful performance portraying Maria Altman, an American Jew who takes on the Austrian government to reclaim a priceless family painting stolen by the Nazis. On Tuesday the 27th, well, there's ladies netball at the Academy from 7 till 8 p.m. and for £3 a session. If you'd like to play, just call Penny on 07762 922 405. Now, Wednesday the 28th, well, if you fancy trying something different, go along to the school at Medbury School in School Lane on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. and you can try your hand at carpet bowls. Now, all you need is a pair of soft shoes and a sense of humour, really. And the first two sessions are free, and then if you like it from then on, you can become a member, and it's £10 for membership for the year and £1.50 a session. So that's a cheap night's entertainment, really, and a good bit of fun. On Thursday the 29th, well, we have the quiz at the Fisherman's Joy tonight, 8:30, 6 12-question general knowledge rounds, so that should test your skills. At £1 a person, teams maximum of 8 people, and this starts at about 8:30. If you're not very good with answering questions, well, they have cash bingo in the break, so you can run off with a few bob from that. Now on Friday the 30th at the Town Hall between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. we have Selsey School Uniform Shop. That's not easy to say. And so if you need any school uniform, pop along there. Which brings us to Saturday the 31st. And at East Beach Evangelical Church today, there's a craft fair, and this runs from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. And also, don't forget, there's line dancing down at the Viking Club. Now, I know some people that have gone along there have had great fun. So they're doing line dancing lessons, free of charge, between 1 and 2 p.m. So get yourself off down to the Viking Club, that's at Green Lawns on Bun Leisure, and have a great bit of fun. And finally for this week, on Sunday the 1st, there's a tabletop sale at the Selsey Centre, and this is from 9 a.m. to 12 midday. So pop along there and have a route round the tables and see what you can find. And that's it from What's On for this week. Now, my first guest in the studio this week is Theresa White, and Theresa is from the local Fybromyalgia Association. Now, a lot of people can't say that, let alone understand what it's all about. And Theresa is going to give us an insight into this rather bizarre and unusual condition that seems to be very difficult to track. Good morning, Theresa.
Morning, Keith.
Now, how did you come across the fact that you had fibromyalgia?
Well, having been in great pain and suffering chronic morning stiffness, IBS, and awful headaches that invariably went into a migraine, and after many unproductive visits to the doctors for several years, I came across an article written by Jean Hambleton on the internet and just couldn't believe my eyes. This woman was writing about all the symptoms that I had had and offering group meetings with people in the same boat and more importantly, put a name to the illness, fibromyalgia, plus confirming to me that I wasn't imagining it all. It wasn't in my head, it was indeed in my muscles and my body. My mother had suffered what was then called fibrositis, so I guess there must be truth in the fact that it's inherited, and unfortunately my daughter seems to have it as well. I did an article for the Chi Observer entitled "A 50-year-old Trapped in the Body of a 90-year-old. This is what it feels like to me, except I know many 90-year-olds that have more energy than I have had since I was 30.
Now, fibrositis, I remember my mother talking about fibrositis. So this condition has obviously been going on for many, many years, unrecognised.
Yeah.
And I believe they changed the name from fibrositis to fibromyalgia because the itis bit at the end of fibrositis indicates that it's inflammation around the muscles, and they found out that actually there was no inflammation around the muscle. This was purely and simply muscle pain, but so they changed it from itis, from fibrositis to fibromyalgia, which better describes it. And now it's very, very difficult for doctors to diagnose because the symptoms indicate that there could be any number of things wrong, from muscle strain, overexertion, that sort of thing, to what it actually is. And it could be a long time between a doctor first examining you and saying, well, take these painkillers, it's probably a muscle strain. I could imagine it could be, into years actually before it's discovered.
Yeah, you're very true there. The doctors now acknowledge that fibro exists, but are at a loss to help us, much as it's such a complex syndrome. Painkillers, various other drugs are prescribed, but not all agree with patients, and you end up self-medicating, and I use a lot of alternative remedies and distraction techniques.
Now distraction techniques I've not come across before. Could you explain a little bit about distraction techniques?
You do something, if you do a hobby like colouring or painting. Some people, I personally watch a really good film. Comedy's the best, because laughter's the best medicine. And because your brain can only concentrate on one thing at a time, you forget the pain.
And I thought you were a woman. I thought you could do all sorts of things at one time.
Don't start.
Excuse me for that. I thought you were good at multitasking.
Yeah.
Now, that strikes me as a bit bizarre, because if you can take your mind off it, it almost indicates that it's a mind thing and not a physical thing. Although I did read one or two articles last night, doing a bit of homework, and it really stresses in there that it's not a mind problem. It is definitely a physical problem.
Well, if you had the pain from a broken leg, it would work exactly the same. Distraction techniques work for every type of pain.
Just going along that sort of line, do you know if anybody has ever tried hypnotherapy to help it?
Yes.
Because I only ask that because I know hypnotherapy can work, because I packed up smoking 20 cigars a day with using hypnotherapy. So once again, if it's something that can be alleviated by distraction, then maybe it was just a thought that occurred to me that maybe hypnotherapy might work. And people that have tried that, has it been successful in any way? It
depends on the person, because some people are very, will go under very quickly and will respond to it very quickly, and some people won't. I think it can help a little towards alleviating it, but I've tried it, I've done it, I've paid out. Also a question of money, of course, because these things are not on the NHS, so you've got to be able to afford it. So it just depends on circumstances. I think it can help a little bit, but I don't think it can alleviate it completely.
Now, in the articles, one or two articles that I did read last night, it makes a big thing about it being mainly people that have had stressful lives or high-pressure jobs, that sort of thing, that end up suffering from it. Now, once again, it's strange that seems to be the case, but there doesn't seem to be any argument against that.
No.
Everybody seems to agree that it fits that group of people that have had stressful lives, or maybe even major trauma, a car accident, some things along those lines that have have been the catalysts that have kicked it off.
Yeah.
Once again, I don't pretend to even understand the thoughts behind that, but it seems to have been agreed, and so they've obviously carried out tests that people that fit into this category or these categories could end up suffering with fibromyalgia.
They tend to be, most people who are with fibro have been dynamic, more than busy go-getters in their world days, BF, before fibro, being mothers, wives, holding down jobs, doing voluntary work, and having an active social life. I had my own dog business, I raised 4 children, I educated 3 myself from home, I was in various voluntary roles, ran a house, moved to live in France for 10 years, ran my businesses over there, learnt the language, and then after several nasty illnesses, plus a rather bad car accident, it all joined together and made up what was a long illness that will last, well, till the day I die. You know, there is no cure.
No, I also read that as well.
Yeah.
I just find it strange, and it's very difficult for me to understand, and I imagine it will be difficult for anybody that doesn't have it to understand. And especially this bit about these certain groups of people, especially people that live stressful lives. Now, quite often in this day and age, people that live stressful lives are taking some kind of drugs or other, be that alcohol or cocaine or whatever. But it seems to be the done thing for people that are in very stressful positions. They may not notice it, but they may be drinking a bottle of wine every night and think nothing of it. Is there any evidence that any of that sort of stuff plays a part in it?
I don't think there is, no. I was a moderate drinker. I've never done drugs, never smoked at all. I think if I could explain a little bit of the mechanics of your body, your energy cells have got something in the middle called mitochondria. And for a normal person, the mitochondria is made up within the 24 hours where you go to bed, you sleep, you have a restful sleep, all the rest of it. With people who have got fibro, the mitochondria isn't made up again properly for 3 days. So therefore, or about 3 days. So therefore, you're using up all your energy to the point of complete depletion, doing your normal life. That's just running around doing your normal things, getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth. If you made a list of all the things that you actually did every day, it would be a terrific, great long list. But to you, or someone who's a normal, as we call them, that means nothing. That's okay. You've been officially declared a normal. It's just so emphasised, this effort that it takes to get out of bed, to get dressed, to get over the stiffness. I have to leave at least an hour before I can even think of going out the front door, before I'm prepared mentally and physically to actually move, to get in the car, to go and do whatever I've got to go and do.
So it's been identified as, if you like, a chemical imbalance. There's a cell that's not reproducing itself as it should, much like in a way diabetes, where an organ is not producing the chemical that your body needs.
Well, the thing is, because it's a syndrome, it's not just the one thing. That is that pit with the energy, but because you also have non-restorative sleep, for some unknown reason, and they don't really know why, the sleep just doesn't come to you when it should do, and when you do fall asleep, you don't go into the REM sleep. So therefore, you're never catching up with yourself to be 100% functioning, and it takes a toll on your body. And most people that I know with fibro have IBS. Now that can be caused through allergies. It can be just caused through the stress. So it's a vicious circle, because the more you stress, the more pain you're in, the more, it just goes on and on and on. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I believe you run a support group.
Yes, I run a support group here in Selsey. I have done for the last 3 years. We meet on the second Tuesday of every month at the Fisherman's Joy about midday, health and weather permitting. And sometimes the roads are too flooded and I can't make it. So there's always someone there, because there's people who live in Selsey who come to the group. So we usually make sure that there's someone there to meet and greet, have a chat. Unfortunately, it's me that's got all the leaflets and the bump and the books and the stuff to lend people or even give. There's an awful lot on the internet that I can send people if they're internet savvy. In fact, too much, you wouldn't be able to take it all in. So I usually send it over in small lots, because that's something else you get. You get fibro fog and you just can't take information in. So
I think I must have that.
Yeah.
At least that bit of it.
Yeah. And there are other groups as well in the local area. There's FMA UK, which is the national, again on the internet, look it up. And there's FMS SES. They're the best charities to find a group nearest to you, because there's groups all over England, Scotland and Wales. And the websites have got an awful lot of information on them. So you can download it as you feel you can cope with it, you know.
Now, I think it's also linked to CFS.
Yes, chronic fatigue syndrome, yes.
And is that a similar thing, or is it the same thing?
No, chronic fatigue is different. What you find is you can have chronic fatigue. It's also called ME, which years and years and years ago was yuppie flu. Some people have just got that. And it's now recognised as a valid illness, you know, and they don't know what causes it. Again, they think it could be burnout, where you've just done too much and your body's said, no, that's enough. Again, no cure. But a lot of people with fibro have CFS as well. But whether or not they actually have CFS, or whether it's something entirely different that's a complete tiredness related to the fibro, is still untested, and the jury's still out as far as I'm concerned.
So really it's a matter of fibromyalgia now is at last being recognised as an illness.
Yeah.
And not a passing, not a fad, because that wouldn't be fair, but things like yuppie flu and various other names that it was given.
And now it isn't.
But now it's accepted as one genuine condition.
Yeah.
Now it's being recognised.
Yeah.
Could we look forward to perhaps some development in it?
Well, we need the research. We need the money for the research, you know, and there's so many other terrible illnesses out there, like cancer and all the rest of it. But this ruins people's lives. I run a helpline. I still run it. My number's still out there for people to phone me. And I've had people phone me up Christmas Day. My husband's left me. I can't cope. What do I do with the young children? How do I get them to school? Or you get the youngsters who have got it, because there's no age barrier. So you'll get 16-year-olds who burn out at college, can't go to college anymore. You have to tell them to get in touch with the ombudsman so that everything can be taped to help them through their college and uni years. You know, yeah. I think I
certainly didn't have the faintest idea of how deep it went.
No.
And you know, it's something that's there, something that I've only heard of in the past 18 months since I've been doing this for Selsey Internet Radio, because we have a whole line of presenters that have fallen over fibromyalgia and couldn't say it.
Yeah.
And so it's always stuck in my mind.
The group did actually win an award at Selsey. You know, the Selsey Business Awards?
Yes.
We won an award year before last, I think it was. We came first. We got a gold, which we were absolutely gobsmacked. We even won over the Snack Shack, which I think is a wonderful thing, and you know, so we were well pleased. And they even spelt it wrong on the award. That's how little is known about fibromyalgia. But I think it's 1 in 8 now that suffer with fibromyalgia.
Really
so the numbers are going up. They really are. And it's always more women than men.
I mean, we used to, in our What's On section that we do every week, we used to do fibromyalgia meetings. You know, we used to put them on there every week.
Yeah.
And I used to use, more often than not, I would have to go over and re-record the title. But it's now becoming accepted as an illness.
Yeah, a syndrome. That's what they call it. Yeah.
It's if you're feeling ill, it's an illness.
Yeah.
And most people wouldn't understand the difference between syndrome and anything else. They'll just say, well, I'm ill. I'm not well.
Yeah.
What's this all about?
Yeah. Which is how I felt.
It's now accepted as being a pucker illness, as it were, which is hopefully the first foot on the ladder to getting some research into
Hopefully,
it and finding some sort of...
There is some being done out there. FMA UK do have got a research section, and there are other pockets. FMS SES were looking into research and getting some funds for it. And of course there's the I know it will be mentioned later, but the Fybromyalgia conference is held every year, and all that money that's raised, all that, it's not that much, but it's a fair bit, and it goes towards a research fund. So
what advice would you give to people that find that they've got it? I mean, how is it best managed? I know it's obviously different for each individual.
It is.
Is there a general sort of set of guidelines that you would say, well, don't overdo it, don't do too much, or...
Yeah, you've got to get a diagnosis. You've got to insist from your doctor. They send you to rheumatology. I don't really know why, but they do. And the rheumatologist should be able to give you a proper, firm diagnosis. Get a doctor that's on your side. If you can't find one, change doctors. They're out there. Pace yourself. I have to review my pacing about every 3 months. And unfortunately, as I get older, it gets less and less and less. And if I have to go back to bed in the morning for an hour to rest, to recuperate from what I've done already that morning, that's fine. That's what I have to do. And prioritise. Make sure you do the important things. And that doesn't mean the housework. Go and pay out for someone to come in and do your cleaning. Life's too short to worry about if the carpets are hoovered. Do things that please you, and go down the alternative medicine route. And find a support group, because you'll get a lot of tips about, taking magnesium, and some people take enzyme Q10 and that helps them, and various other things. Acupuncture helps a lot of people. It just depends, and that of course can be paid for on the NHS now, because that's recognised.
Now, I would like to point out at this stage that taking alternative medicines is okay, and I've done it in the past myself. But I know that I'm diabetic, and I'm now on 14 tablets a day.
Yeah.
And my doctor was absolutely insistent, do not take alternative
always ask
remedies, because they will not agree with some of the tablets you're on. So
you can ask your chemist as well. The chemists are very, very good. In fact, they're in a way better than the doctors, because they're not quite so pushed and busy. You can go and see them any time. You can book appointments at the Boots chemist to have a private consultation.
A little booth in there.
Yeah, and they're very knowledgeable on their subject. That's their thing.
That's right. They're chemists.
Yeah. So go and ask your chemist, and ask for a drugs review as well. A lot of people take triptyline and Aricept, and there's loads of other things that they take. And ask for a drug review, because they will be able to tell you if there are conflicting drugs that you're taking, which the doctor might have missed.
The doctors are usually pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Look it up in a book,
but they do miss things.
And
I've had it happen to me. So
especially in a situation that's not too well known at the moment. But, well, thanks very, very much for coming in, Theresa.
That's fine.
Filling us in on.
I don't know if people want my phone number, contact details.
Exactly. I was just about to ask you if you could let us have those, but you're one step in front of me.
I've beat you to it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, my name's Theresa. You can contact me on my home line, which is 01243 670 783. There is an answer phone. It'll click in after about 7 rings. Leave a message. Please leave it clearly, because I'm a little bit hard of hearing in one ear. And just, I will get back to you. If I'm having a bad week, it might take me a while, but I will get back to you. Okay. And phone me for details of the support group as well.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And that's Serengeti Serenade there from Purple Planet Music, written by Chris Martin and Jeff Harvey. And we're going across to the kitchen now for this week's recipes. Now this week we've got a recipe for the slow cooker. That's not me necessarily, although I'm not very quick when it comes to cooking. But a lot of people find these an absolute boon when they're going out to work, or if they're going out for the day they can put a nice casserole or some such dish on, and when they come back 8 hours later the whole place smells of this wonderful casserole that's been cooking, and all they've got to do is turn off the slow cooker and get stuck in. So it's great. It's a good idea, very useful, especially for busy people. And this is a chicken casserole that's done in a slow cooker. And this is what we need: 4 carrots, 1 large onion, 4 garlic cloves, 2 large potatoes diced, 1 handful of chopped fresh parsley, rosemary and thyme, 4 chicken thighs, 4 bay leaves, and salt and pepper to taste, 40 grams of pearl barley, 20 grams of split peas, 20 grams of marrow fat peas, and 500 mils, that's 1 pint, of chicken stock. And this is what we do. We chop the carrots and onion and garlic and add them to a medium hot pan for about 5 minutes. Add the diced potatoes and herbs and cook for another 5 minutes, and then add to the slow cooker. Now brown the chicken in a frying pan for 5 minutes and add that to the slow cooker. And add the bay leaves and the salt and pepper, the barley, the split peas, the marrow fat peas and the stock. Put all that in the slow cooker as well and cook on high for 3 to 4 hours, or if you're going out for the day you can cook that on low for 8 hours. And you can serve that with roast puddings, stuffing or bread and butter, pretty much whatever you like. But it's a wonderfully easy dish and you don't have to stand around the kitchen cooking it. It's done in no time and off you go out and enjoy your day and come back and dinner's ready. Great idea. Now I thought I'd chance my arm at baking a cake this week, so we're going to go for a coffee and walnut sponge, because being diabetic I don't need a great deal of cake, but my wife loves coffee and walnut, and so it could get me an awful lot of brownie points. Now this one of course would be right up Kathy Newman Street, and I'm sure Kathy would enjoy this, and she's probably baked it many times. And this is what we need. We need 65 grams of walnut halves, 225 grams of softened butter, cubed, plus extra for greasing, 225 grams of caster sugar, 4 medium eggs, 225 grams of self-raising flour, 1 teaspoonful of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of camp chicory and coffee essence. My God, can you still get that? I didn't realise you could. And for the icing we need 150 grams of softened butter cubed, 300 grams of icing sugar sifted, 4 teaspoons of camp chicory and coffee essence. There's a lot of chicory and coffee essence going into this, and 12 walnut halves. And this is what we do. Preheat the oven to 190 degrees centigrade, that's gas mark 5. Butter 2 20cm loose-based sandwich tins and line the bases with discs of baking parchment. Put the walnut halves in a food processor and blitz them into fairly fine crumbs, but don't worry if there are a few larger pieces remaining, it won't hurt. And then tip the walnuts into a bowl. Put the butter, sugar, eggs, flour, baking powder and coffee essence in a food processor and blend on the pulse setting until well combined and creamy. And you may need to remove the lid once or twice and push the mixture down with a rubber spatula. And take care not to process for too long or you'll end up with a heavy sponge. Add the blitzed walnuts to the batter and mix until just combined. And if you don't have a food processor, finely chop the nuts and tip all the ingredients into a large mixing bowl and then beat like hell. Well, that's a good way of doing it. Right, spoon the mixture evenly into the greased and lined tins and smooth the surface. Bake on the same shelf in the centre of the oven for about 25 minutes or until the sponge is well risen and just beginning to shrink back from the sides of the tin. Remove the tins from the oven and leave to cool for about 5 minutes before running a knife round the edge of the cakes and turning them out onto a wire rack. Peel off the baking parchment and leave to cool completely. Now to make the icing, put the butter in a food processor or mixing bowl, then add the icing sugar and coffee essence and blend until the icing is smooth and creamy. Add a little more coffee essence to taste if you like. I should think there's enough in there already. Place one of the sponges on a plate or cake stand and spread with half the coffee icing. Add the second sponge and spread the remaining icing over the top and use the back of a spoon or a rubber spatula to create soft swirls and peaks. and decorate with the walnut halves. Now leave to stand for at least an hour before serving, if possible, to allow the icing to become a little firmer. Right, well, that's it. Nice and easy. Now, unless you've been living on another planet for over a year, you will probably have heard about the Christmas Day lunch that was laid on last year at the Town Hall for people from the village that may have been on their own otherwise at Christmas. Well, this lunch was laid on by Danny and Julie Kelly. It was their idea and they organised it along with many helpers. And it was such a resounding success that they decided they're going to do it again this year. And I'm going to be speaking now to Danny and Julie about what's going to happen this year. Danny.
Yeah, due to the overwhelming response we had last year, we decided that, we'd love to do it again. Basically, we'd like to do it every year. Maybe not Julie and myself doing it, but have a share in making sure that it is done every year from now on. And we're going to do the same thing again. The town hall has been donated to us again free of charge. We've already had 3 meetings. We've got another one tonight, and it's to find out who is capable of doing what. We need people that specialise in different type of events and use their skills to help us to make the day a great success like we did last year.
Have you got plenty of volunteers this year?
We have a list. We have a list of most of the people last year said they'd still like to be involved, and so far we've had about another 12, 14 new people that want to get involved.
Oh, right. So you've got quite a few volunteers.
And it's early days yet. Yeah.
And it's early days. I say it's early days. It's not too far away. As you will well know, that time will soon disappear.
Yes, it did last year, yeah. Yeah.
And so are you still looking for more volunteers?
Yes,
or are you
yes.
looking for specific volunteers in specific areas?
No, we're looking for anybody who feels that they can contribute to any part, any aspect on the day, or even running up to the day, because we need people to help out beforehand with either taking flyers out for people or doing whatever. So we're never going to turn down any volunteers. I mean, last year we had 60-odd volunteers turn up on Christmas morning, which was great because most of the guests that we had literally had a one-to-one conversation with somebody. Because people was just able to sit down with people and have a chat with them.
Which, of course, is very important.
Yes. Yeah. They meet and greet, sit down, have a cup of tea and a talk and whatever. And it was great.
It was accepted.
It was fantastic.
So well. Yeah. And it all went so well. It's not an easy thing to plan, especially for the first time out.
It was a bit of a headache.
I should think it was more than a bit of a headache.
Some parts of it, but yes, everything went really well. We had a great lot of people on the day, and we had people that I needed to do the kitchen work.
Yes,
to dish it up. No disrespect to anybody, but it's a job for certain people.
Oh, absolutely. It certainly would be a job for me.
And I had a couple of chefs come along, and they're going to come again this year. And they laid it all out, and basically all I was doing on Christmas morning was just fetching the stuff in all the time, and they were doing it. We had some girls in the kitchen. One of the girls run a soup kitchen in Cornwall for 2 or 3 Christmases beforehand. Missed out missed out a Christmas before because she'd moved here, then heard about what we were doing last Christmas and phoned up to get involved, and she was just an absolute star because I didn't have to ask her or tell her to do anything. Yes. She just took control of the outside, the kitchen door, from the kitchen door onwards. She took control of that. Her husband went round all the tables and he was getting orders and taking out people's, and everything just seemed to flow. People was watching and they see there was dirty cutlery and stuff like that. They was in the kitchen washing up, Everybody making tea for something. Nobody had to really tell anybody to do anything.
So the reports I had was it went like clockwork. Yeah. And considering that was the first time out, it's that's some accolade in itself, because you usually expect at least one major hiccup in something like that. because somebody's forgotten actually it's Christmas Day and the shop's not open, you can't just pop across the road or whatever. So to do it and get it to get it all through the machine, as it were, and out the other end was no mean achievement. I take my hat off to all those involved, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. There were stars, each and every one of them. I mean, one man, I think he's 84. He's coming along in this year. And he said last year he'd only like to come along. He would have been on his own. He'd like to come along, but he would only come along if he could help.
Yes.
And he was there at 9 o'clock Christmas morning putting the tables up.
Great stuff.
And he wants to do it again. So
well, it's brilliant. I mean, I don't imagine that there's anybody that did it last year that wouldn't want to be back this year. Some of them may not be able to make it for one reason or another, but
I think we had 6 people that couldn't actually make the venue on the day, so we actually delivered their Christmas lunch for them anyway.
So I understand.
So
yes,
they all had. Nobody went short.
Nobody can tell me Christmas spirit is dead. Not in Selsey, it's not.
But and again, I'm glad you mentioned that. Not in Selsey, because the community spirit in Selsey is second to none.
Absolutely right.
Second to none. Once the feelers went out and people got to know, and I mean, there's a lot of people that didn't get to know that got to know this year. And the first thing they said, well, we didn't know, why didn't you tell us,
but I actually wondered if the town hall was going to be big enough.
Well,
you might need a bigger venue.
We have set a limit on what we're doing ourselves. If we was to get sort of really an extra large response, then we will ask somebody else if we could have another venue somewhere, and somebody else maybe help us out. And
you don't mind taking on problems, Danny, do you?
Well, we don't want to let anybody go without. That's a certainty.
That's a brilliant way of looking at it. But it's certainly, it takes some doing, as I fully appreciate. Is there a contact number that people can contact you on, or contact details?
There is, yes. I can be contacted on my own phone, which is 07767 421297. People can get the information in Selsey Information Exchange. They can also get the information from the desk, the reception in the town hall in Selsey Town Council. Yeah, we're having a meeting every other Thursday, and the next one will be on the 5th of November in the fire station, Selsey Fire Station, at 6 o'clock. Entrance is via the back door. The people that we're looking for there to turn up there, again, anybody who's got any ideas of maybe what they can add to the day for us. Last year we had very limited entertainment. We're looking for maybe somebody who'd like to give us a little bit of entertainment this year.
Well, I would have loved to have helped you out with this, Danny. Unfortunately, I'm away at Christmas. But last year, I was dead set on doing it. And then we were away again last year, and we had not planned to be away this year, and I had planned to offer my services. But my daughter-in-law is delivering us a granddaughter in just a few weeks' time. So, and of course we've been invited up to their house for the baby's first Christmas, so that's had to go by the board, unfortunately. But
we'll accept that, but I've penciled you down there for next year.
Yes, put me in for that.
So we've got entertainment for next year
already.
We'll definitely put you down for that. Kevin Noble. Kevin is going to run a little quiz for us on the day. Obviously we're limited for time because we start at 12 and we have the Queen's speech at 3 o'clock, and then we finish soon after the Queen's speech. That's the sort of the thing to get everybody ready to leave. So we are limited of time. We're not looking for 2 hours of entertainment from anybody. It's just 10 minutes, quarter of an hour or something. I might even be tempted to give a blast myself.
I was going to say, you're a man that's known to have emptied your lungs of air on occasions, then into a microphone, so I'm sure you could...
I don't even need a microphone.
Well, no.
But if I can on the day, if I can fill in for somebody, then I'll do a little bit. But my main concern on the day is just getting the food and everything right, so there's bound to be somebody out there who'd like to come along and maybe sing us a song, or I think there's a piano over there. Somebody might to play a tune on the old piano.
It's quite a good piano.
Again, it's open for anybody that's got any ideas of any way they can help us out. either fundraising or bit of entertainment, anything at all.
So any of you entertainers out there that feel like you do a short spot for people at Christmas on Christmas Day to help make their Christmas Day for them, you can contact Danny on the number he gave you earlier, and you'd be more than welcome.
I got a little ditty that I wrote.
Okay.
Just a little note for everybody about the day, and I wrote it in the form of a poem, you could say then. And it's just a little reminder for everybody. You will see this in some of the shops on flyers, on some collection boxes. It will be on a flyer stuck onto the box, and it goes like this. Christmas Day in Selsey is a special place to be, for Christmas lunch has been laid on for the lonely in the community. So please don't spend the day at home and all alone. Give us a call, we'll pick you up, and we'll take you home. The town hall is the venue, donated to us for free. We'll have turkey, Christmas pudding, the Queen's speech, and then some tea. We need volunteers to help us on this very special day. So come and help, or sing a song, or even the piano you may play. They say that every little helps, and this is oh so true. For this is all been paid for by the people all around you. So come on, all ye faithful, donate or pledge your help, and we'll finish off together with the famous Jingle Bells. Selsey Christmas lunch.
Well done, Danny and Julie. Julie's sitting here very quietly. For those of you that thought I would mention somebody that wasn't here, I promise you she's here. But she's sitting very quietly. Well, thanks for coming in, Dan.
Thank you for having us.
I wish you well. I'm 100% fully confident that it will be at least as good as last year. And if it's at least as good as last year, it'll be something
be fantastic.
It'll be fantastic, absolutely that. And I hope you get all the help you need. And I do apologise personally for not being around and being able to offer my services. And I'm sure we'll be putting that right next year.
Wonderful.
Well, thanks very much, and see you soon.
Thank you.
The Weather Report.
Yes, the weather for the coming week. Well, on Monday it's going to be sunny. Very little chance of rain on Monday. Temperature at 15 degrees, so it's not too bad. Wind, well, it's quite windy, 16 miles an hour on Monday. Tuesday, unfortunately, it's going to rain. Well, we've got a 90% chance of rain anyway. Wind speeds 14 miles an hour and 15 degrees, so not too bad. Wednesday, well, 50% chance of rain on Wednesday, 15 degrees still, so temperature not moving very much. Wind slowing down a little bit to about 11 miles an hour. Thursday, well, Thursday should be dry. Very little chance of rain on Thursday. Wind's picking up a little bit to 16 miles an hour and remaining at 15 degrees. So a pretty steady temperature right throughout the week, and a bit warmer than the weekend's been, funny enough. On Friday, once again, we've got a chance of rain. So 60% chance of rain on Friday. Wind speeds at 16 miles an hour and temperatures at 15 degrees. So no change in the temperature there again. And Saturday, well, once again, chance of a shower on Saturday, but nothing too major. 15 degrees and wind speeds about 14 miles an hour. So all in all, not too bad. And that's about it for this week. Our thanks go to Theresa White and to Danny and Julie Kelly, and of course to our producer John Fletcher, and most of all to yourselves for listening in. This is Keith Barnes saying thanks for joining us. See you again soon. Bye now.